This week we're also going to be looking at reading algebraic expressions. So for this next lesson, what I want you to do is to complete the warm-ups for this frame and frame 2. The first part is asking you to write an algebraic expression for each word phrase. And the second one is asking you to match each algebraic expression to the word phrase. Let's see what you know. Take a pause. And now I'm going to go over the answers with you. In our first part of the equation, it is asking you to write an algebraic expression for the product of 1/2 and a. So it's going to be the product of, which means you're going to multiply 1/2 times a. The second one next to it says 3 more than y. So if something is more than, we're adding. So I'm adding 3 plus y. Down here it says 7 less than p. Whenever anything's less than, you're going to put it in the back. So you're going to subtract p minus 7. And here we have the quotient of x and 9. So that means you're going to be dividing x divided by 9. In the next part, it's asking you to match the algebraic expression to the word phrase. So the easiest way for me to do this is to look at the term, the definition first, and then match it to its term. The first one says g is less than 16. I know less than means I have to subtract, so that's the one I'm matching it with. Next one says 16 split into g equal groups. Remember from math we learned that split something into groups means that we're going to divide, and since the word product here, the product of 16 and g, product, means we're going to multiply. So this is all about knowing what your terms are and knowing what they stand for, what kind of operations they stand for, and that's what we're going to learn today. So let's take a look at reading some algebraic expressions. Okay, an algebraic expression is an expression that may contain numbers, variables, or operations. And you can translate an algebraic expression into a word phrase. So this means that you can make a word problem out of this. So we're actually converting them today, okay? Algebraic expressions can have more than one word phrase. Okay, so let's take a look at some key words. We have sum. That means that we're going to do addition. Times means we're using multiplication. This is just some vocabulary to help us understand how to phrase some of our terms. So you're going to refer to these terms very often. Difference means subtraction. Less than also means we're going to use subtraction. Quotient means division is going to be used. Greater than means addition is going to be used. And product means multiplication is going to be used. split equally means division is going to be used. And a number right next to a variable means that we're going to multiply. Remember that invisible in our last lesson? We said there's like an invisible number right next to that variable. Sometimes it's 1, sometimes it's an actual number. Another number, I should say. 1's an actual number. Number 6, a fraction bar means we're going to divide. And remember that an addition and multiplication are both commutative. So it doesn't matter what order those numbers are in, you can switch them back and forth. Oops, I should say multiplication. With division and subtraction, those numbers have to be in that order. The orders matter when writing word phrases because you'll know which one to put up front and you'll know which one to put in the back. And that makes sense because if we just do regular addition and regular multiplication, it doesn't matter what order they're in, we're still going to get the same product. But if we divide and subtract, if we switch the numbers around, we might get different answers. Okay? And in frame 6, number 9 down at the bottom says write 2 word phrases for each algebraic expression. So what I'm going to be using is my terms that I just learned. Sum, difference, quotient, product, times, less than, greater than, split equally. And I'm going to make phrases for these equations here. So in the first equation, I have 6 plus g. Okay, I can say it's 6 more than g. When I'm writing my terms, I always want to make sure my variables are all lowercase. Or I can write the sum, because it says 2 word phrases, of 6 and g. On to my next expression, 7a. I can say that's the product of 7 and a. Or I can say 7 times a. That's what we're used to. We've been learning those terms since we were in elementary school. Okay, our next term is 8 divided by y. So to write it out and how we read that, we say 8 divided into y groups. Remember, this has to be in a specific order. Or I can say the quotient of 8 and y. Notice how my 8 always comes first in every term. And last but not least, p minus 4. We can say it's p minus 4. And again, that's not 4 minus p, it has to be p minus 4. Oops, sorry, I gotta write that in terms. Or if I use the word less than, I put my 4 first. This is the only time I'm allowed to switch my terms. Notice how my 4 is last here. My 4 is last here. But if I use the term less than, I can put my 4 up front and my p in the back. That is the only time that you can switch your terms. Okay, but everything else with division, the 8 goes first, the 8 goes first. Y goes last, Y goes last. Okay, so if you see a term like this, this is your first term, this is your last term. Let's look at our next frame and do some practice. Write 2 phrases that represent this algebraic equation. This would be the sum of 5 and g. Or you can say 5 greater than g. Or g greater than 5. Okay, my next term is 3 minus h. This I can't switch. But if I say h is less than 3, it's the same thing. Number 3, k divided by m can look like this, the quotient. Of k and m, or it can look like k divided by m. Okay, my next frame, 6m. It can look like the product of 6 and m, or it can say 6 times more than m. Okay, my next frame, 4 plus 2g. This is a long one, so we can say the sum, because there's a plus sign there, so we can say the sum of 4 and, now I'm multiplying 2g, so I'm going to say the product of 2 and g, or I can say 4 more than the product of 2 and g. Okay, so one English lesson here. THAN, we use than to compare. Okay, and then number 6, 3y minus w is 3. Whoops. I'm gonna write it out. Times y minus w, or I can say w less than the product of 3 and y. Try the next ones by yourself.